Okay, hello everyone. Clarke Towson here, CEO of INTJ Billing, coming to you today from Pattaya, Thailand. So, I would like to talk a little bit about the Bitcoin Lightning Network and the opportunities that I see here in Pattaya. Now, the Bitcoin Lightning Network is expanding at an exponential rate. And there are many opportunities for businesses and individuals to get themselves onto the network. Over here in Pattaya, Thailand, it's an interesting environment because you have a quite a big entertainment industry where you've got a lot of bars and a lot of bar girls in particular. And a lot of people who are working in the bar industry, managers, bar girls, and all sorts of people connected to the industry. Now, the opportunity when it comes to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Lightning Network, some of you may be aware that in April, the Thai SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission of Thailand, made Bitcoin illegal for payments. That dealt a big blow to the development of the Bitcoin industry here in Thailand. Now, what they haven't made illegal, however, is utilizing Bitcoin for investment purposes. Now, the opportunity that I've seen that I could come over here and help with is utilizing Bitcoin and specifically the Bitcoin Lightning Network, not as a mechanism for payments, but as an investment medium. Now, the technology that I work with is called BTCPay. The opportunity is to set up BTCPay servers for the bars here in Pattaya. Now, that might be for one bar, it might be for a number of bars. But the overarching principle is Bitcoin is, one of the principles of Bitcoin is neutrality. Bitcoin is neutral to the sender and to the receiver. And because it offers a mechanism to transfer value from party A to party B without an intermediary in the middle, it allows that value to be transferred in such a way that it can't be censored. Now, there are numerous industries out there who are interested in uncensorable money. The Thailand entertainment industry in particular, I see the opportunity to set up a self-hosted BTCPay server here for a bar or for a number of bars, and to set up the bar girls who work at that bar or bars on that BTCPay server instance. Now, my role is as an outside technology consultant. I am not able to offer financial services per se in what I'm doing with BTCPay Server. So the opportunity though is not for me to act as a middleman payment provider and take a commission, which would be the most obvious way to operate, because I can't do that legally. What I can do is I can empower other people to be their own bank and their own merchant provider, their own payments platform using BTCPay. What does that look like in practice? What that looks like is at the moment with the Thai SEC banning Bitcoin for payments, that means that bars won't be able to use the Lightning Network in order to sell drinks, for example, or to sell bar fines, for example. Now, I believe the Thai SEC will reverse their decision on Bitcoin for payments, but I think it's just a matter of when. So the question is, when will they do that? that decision will have to come at some point in the future. There's a very high probability of that occurring. Now, the reason I think that is because at the moment where we're at, we are just at the stage where Bitcoin is an emerging store of value. In terms of medium of exchange, we're about 10 years away from it being a medium of exchange. The Bitcoin Lightning Network is very nascent, at a very early stage of development. Now, if it wasn't me over here in Pattaya who spotted this opportunity, it would be someone else either now or at a future date. This is going to happen. Somebody, whether it be me or somebody else, will spot the opportunity to use BTCPay, and there's the t-shirt in the background. Some business person here in Pattaya will say, hang on a second, can't we use this software? We could create our own server, then we could set up all our bar girls on that server and all our managers on that server. They could all have Bitcoin hot wallets, and we could look after their digital keys. And because we're not a third-party payment provider, we will be able to accept Bitcoin, not specifically for payments, but we can say it's for investment purposes. We've set the girls up so that they can accept Bitcoin and keep it as an investment. Now, what it also means is some bar owner over here will at some point spot the opportunity, whether it's me telling them or them discovering it on their own. Bitcoin is an ideal mechanism for value transfer without being blocked or censored. The third payment providers, PayPal and the like, have a way of censoring transactions, blocking transactions, debanking people, just like the banks, especially people who are involved in businesses that they don't like or industries that they don't like the Thailand entertainment industry. So, and I've heard reports of some people who have had large amounts of money held up by PayPal, and it's taken them a lot of time and effort in order to get access to their money. So that's the opportunity that I see over here in Pattaya, Thailand. Now, some people will say, well, Clarke, who is going to use Bitcoin? Because it's too early, it's too difficult to understand, next to nobody uses it, bar girls are never going to understand Bitcoin, you're wasting your time. These are all very, very good arguments. My point of view is, I'm over here, and I'm a technology expert, and I've got a lot of time and experience working in technology and with Bitcoin and BTC Pay in particular. With someone like me on the ground, I can offer educational services, I can offer technology consulting services, and for bars and for people who are running businesses within this environment who'd like to accept Bitcoin, that's what I'm able to offer, those skills, the knowledge, the experience, and the teaching of, because this is a really important subject, okay, and it's a very, very important thing when you've got a form of money that can't be censored, blocked, or stopped by a third party or by a government or by a bank or a payment processor. It is very empowering for an individual or a business to set themselves up with BTCPay Server, because where the regulations are at the moment, even back in Australia, for example, I'm not able to offer payment processing facilities and take a cut of transactions. AUSTRAC denied me the ability to do that. They won't admit my company, INTJ Billing, to the digital exchange and money transmission registries in Australia. And you can have a look on AUSTRAC's website and you'll see very clearly, INTJ Billing, not admitted. They won't accept me to their registries. And the short answer as to why that is because they did not believe that INTJ billing, i.e. myself, I'm a one-man band at the moment, I was unable to be a good enough spy for that agency. They wanted me to provide them with the names, addresses, phone numbers, all the personal details of every single client that I dealt with. Now, where the regulations are going, both in Australia and in Thailand, will have to come to this conclusion as well. They will have these requirements for businesses. Not all businesses, though, only specific businesses, like money transmission services and the like. But we're entering an era, because of BTCPay, where literally anyone can be their own bank and their own payment provider using this technology, that the regulator is not going to be able to do something like, say, we're now requiring every business and every individual to do KYC and AML. KYC is know your customer, and AML is anti-money laundering. Now, those requirements, only certain businesses need to satisfy those requirements. I do not see the regulators, either back in Australia or here in Thailand, imposing KYC and AML on every single business. So right now, in real time, as of the 4th of August 2022, an opportunity exists over here in Thailand for the bars and for the forward-thinking bar owner and the bar owner who wants to really be ahead of the curve. The opportunity is to work with me. Technically, I'm not here working. This is just a volunteer activity where I will consult and say, look, here's the technology. This is how it works. This is the opportunity that you have. What that would look like would be a server set up on my infrastructure, INTJ Billings infrastructure, back in Australia. And I've got infrastructure and servers up and running, and it's all ready to go. It's all out there. It would mean their own Bitcoin Lightning Network node. And it would mean the ability to accept Bitcoin for the business and for the people who work in the business from anyone, anywhere in the world, and it can't be block censored or frozen. Great benefits to set up a BTCPay server and a Bitcoin Lightning node here in Thailand for businesses. This is so early with this technology that whatever business I work with will be pioneering, because there's very few Lightning Network nodes here in Thailand. Whatever business I work with will have the #1 Bitcoin Lightning Network server by capacity in all of Thailand. And again, you might say, well, who is going to use it? Nobody's going to send Bitcoin to bar girls or for payment of drinks. We are about 8 to 10 years too early. But eventually this will happen. It'll be like the telephone network, where back in the old days, we had the analog telephone network. And then as digital technology came to the fore, we started to send phone signals over the internet, digitally, voice over IP. Pretty soon, over a number of years, what happened, there was an evolution of the phone system where every phone call was then routed over the internet instead of using the old analog technology. And this is what's going to happen with Bitcoin and with the Bitcoin Lightning Network, because you can transfer value from person A to person B without paying any transaction fees, and with that value being transferred instantly. So this is pioneering work over here in Thailand. The reason I've got the cameras and the lighting, and I've got my media kit, and I've got the flags in the background, the Thailand flag, the Bitcoin over Lightning Network flag, BTCPay, the cap. There is opportunity here for whoever I work with over here, and I've got some associates and people who I'm going to be talking to about this, the opportunity, because it's so new and so novel, to work with people over here in Thailand on location. In particular, I'm interested in working in the transgender community. It is very leading edge work for somebody, i.e. it'd be myself, to come over here to Thailand, to a developing country, to an Asian country, and to work with the transgender community and to set them up with Bitcoin, set them up with their own Bitcoin wallets on my infrastructure, help them to understand the technology, help them to see the opportunity that this represents. And again, because I'm about 8 to 10 years too early, there will be very, very little use of this technology over here. What there will be, however, is that there will be a lot of people in the Bitcoin space watching to see what happens with this. And the regulators will be watching as well, so we can't do anything illegal. But this is like in computer science, the first program that we learned to write is called Hello World. It's a very simple program that just prints the text Hello World onto the screen. So this is like a Hello World piece of innovation over here in Pattaya, Thailand. I might be one of the only people in the world at the moment who's thinking about not only bringing the Bitcoin Lightning Network here to Thailand and keeping it switched off until the Thai SEC reverses their decision, or keeping it switched on and only utilizing it to accept Bitcoin for investment purposes for the bar girls and for the bar managers and the bar owners. So I'm a resource here on location. I've got the skills, knowledge, experience to work with people over here to set this up. And that is why I'm here. But it's not work, it's just a volunteer activity. I'm just a tourist, I'm just passing by, right? I'm not charging for any of this. The Bitcoin industry will be watching, though, and to see the results, what comes of this, okay? Because once again, my company, INTJ Billing, I'm not a payment provider, and I'm not a middleman in the space. I'm merely a technology consultant, an outside technology consultant. I can talk to people. I'm here as a tourist. I can have discussions with people. I can talk to my associates and say, hey, you're running a bar over here. You're a bar owner here. You're employing a number of people. What are your thoughts about setting up a BTCPay server so that you can no longer be blocked, censored, or controlled by any third party, where PayPal can't freeze your funds, where if you do have any problems with any third party, you will always be able to get your money through utilizing Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Lightning Network, converting to Thai baht, converting from Thai baht, always being able to get the payment through. Now, Austrac didn't like the idea as well about empowering bar girls, empowering sex workers, empowering their clients as well. The idea of being able to send money to a sex worker and to do it legally and do it all above board via a payment network, bridge too far for the regulators. Fine, bridge too far for them. It's a shame that the regulator in Australia couldn't have said something to me like, or they couldn't have had a discussion with each other and thought, this Towson fellow is a bit out there, but he's doing some leading edge, some cutting edge Bitcoin Lightning Network work. Why don't we try to work with him, see if he can adhere to our requirements, because if he can, then he'll come under our legislation, and then he'll be legally required to send us all the details of all his clients. They couldn't do that. They just said no. In no uncertain words would I to do this in the way that I wanted to do it, by being a middleman payment provider. What they didn't say no to, and what I can do, is I can operate as an outside technology consultant, and I can empower businesses to be their own merchant providers, to be their own banks. And there's nothing that they, the Australian regulator or the Thai regulator, can do specifically to stop a business from empowering themselves with this technology, okay? Because I just don't see the regulators imposing KYC and AML on every single individual, every single Thai citizen and Thai business. And they're not going to do it in Australia either. But this is where the tech, because not many people know about BTCPay and this kind of functionality and the benefits that it offers. But don't be under any illusions. The regulators are now aware of BTCPay because of my application in Australia. And we're moving into a world where what we're going to be looking at is there's going to be an argument starting between what is a third-party merchant payment provider versus what is a self-hosted, self-sovereign individual payment provider. What is the difference between those two? Now, you're probably thinking, all right, what is this, Clarke? Are you tripping out? These terms I don't really understand. Let me simplify it. PayPal is a third-party payment provider. They make a cut of every transaction. They are required to pass over all your details and personal information to the regulators in your country. A self-sovereign payment provider who has set up their own merchant processing facilities, i.e. BTCPay Server, self-hosted, that entity is not required to hand over anything to the regulators. So they're not covered under the regulations. The regulations aren't there yet. So the opportunity exists in real time, right now, as I'm making this video, to empower businesses to set themselves up with this solution. As I say, benefits: transferring money from person A to person B with no intermediary, and the transfer is guaranteed to go through, can't be blocked, censored or controlled. Over here in Thailand, the bar businesses generate a lot of money. Those businesses, it's all about money being transferred from Western men to Thai women, Thai ladyboys, the managers of the businesses and the owners of those businesses. And there is a large amount of money being spent. Okay? The value transfer is one way, never back to the men. It's always in the one direction. When the men go back home to the Western world, the bar girls that they've had experiences with, the bar hostesses that they've had great times with, many of these men will send money over via Western Union, TransferWise and various other services. At some point, what I'm arguing with what I'm doing is that anybody who's involved in the Thai nightlife, any bar or business, is going to come under pressure, okay, from payment processors and banks. People involved in this industry over here need to be as self-sovereign as possible in all their activities, not just payments and banking, because many third parties are hostile towards the industry. So, I'm over here, I've got the skills, knowledge and experience to impart to people within the industry, and that's what I'm going to be doing whilst I'm over here for the next 3 to 5 months, catching up with long lost friends, people who I haven't seen in 3 years, and talking to them about this, okay? Being an advocate for this technology and being able to set them all up with this, okay? And remember, I'm only over here as a tourist, I'm not working, but I've got all this infrastructure back home in Australia. All the infrastructure's there, all the servers are set up, they're all waiting, just ready to go. all I have to do is switch on the functionality, right? Switch on the functionality. Demonstrate to people over here how this technology works. Now, at the moment, I've got my own server, btcpay.intjbilling.com. People can go to that server and they can see that, well, I've got my own BTCPay server. People can see my node, Chile calendar, and in this video, you'll see there's a number of graphics on the screen. If you just have a look, one of the pieces of text says Chile calendar, and there's a node ID. You can look up my node ID on the internet on sites like 1ml.com and Lightning Network Plus and various other sites. And you can see that my Lightning Network node is between number 2 and number 3 in all of Australia. That node, I'm able to receive and send Bitcoin via the Lightning Network. Now, whatever business I work with over here in Pattaya, I would be setting them up their own node on my infrastructure. So really it's outside the preserve of the Thai government, Thai SEC. But regardless of whether people use the technology or they don't over the next 10 years, and I don't see a lot of usage over the next couple of years here in Pattaya in particular, one of the things my first manager at my previous employer said to me very early on when I arrived, he said, "Clarke, perceptions are everything." And he was spot on. Doing this kind of work, putting it out there, doing it on camera, getting the branding out there, getting the name BTCPay Server out there, and leading the way, showing people how this can be done. Becomes a perception around me and the services that I'm able to provide, perceptions around the businesses that I work with, the individuals that I work with, the transgender community that I work with over here in Pattaya, and it associates Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Lightning Network with Thailand and the transgender community of Thailand. This is the opportunity. All right, there's going to be more videos to come. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and there's going to be a lot more of these to come. As I said, I plan on doing some work on location in the red light districts with some people that I know. Now, to preserve the privacy of people who work there, I'm not going to be going around sticking a camera in people's faces, but I'll be giving a general overview within that environment, working with some people that I know. All right, until next time, all the best. I'm Clarke Towson, CEO of INTJ Billing.